welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be talking about all the chaos in the world, the horrible things that are happening. Our world is in a lot of turmoil, and unfortunately we have to travel during this crazy time. So let's talk about a few things that I've done to prep my vehicle. I like to tease and make jokes about my vehicle. I call it my little Humvee because I prep it the same way as when I did convoys. So for in this vehicle right now, it's 110 degrees outside and we're traveling between multiple states to go for a nationals competition. And things that I have already prepped in my vehicle. So I have a trauma first aid kit that's already set up. It's in the back. On this trip, I do have a Jackery and solar panels with me just in case. You never know. I mean, let's be honest, you never know. I also have my knife, my multi-tool, my pocket flashlight, all those things that I carry on me every day. Those are my everyday carries. They're always constantly on me. But also in this vehicle, I have my EMP shield just in case. You never know. The world might get a little crazy and things. We're going to California and things over there have been extremely hostile in the news, and just it's kind of all over the place right now. So how do you prep for everything? So I tried to cover as many things as I could. Food, water, our get home bag. There's even an emergency radio in here, along with the stuff we already are required to bring with us. But there's a few other items in here that I don't think a lot of people would think of. So, you know, we have our emergency jump kit system. It's already inside my vehicle. There's one also inside my husband's truck. I do have a small, like, rechargeable air compressor. My Jeep is pretty amazing. If you hate Jeeps, I'm sorry, you're gonna probably say something, and that's totally fine and comfortable if you don't like them. But some of the other items we chose to bring was our Jase medical. Each one of my kids have their own Jase medical kits. They're both in the car right now. And then I have my Jase medical kit along with a first aid kit. We also have a seatbelt cutter, a glass breaker, you know, everything. But the way I store things inside my vehicle is something I want you guys to kind of keep in mind when you guys are choosing to prep your vehicles. Unless you've been in rollovers, which I have, things fly around. So securing all of those items is really, really important when you're traveling. So for me, I've made sure that everything is completely secure in my vehicle so that there's just no questions of if something was to happen. I'm searching for an item, I don't know where it is. Hold on, there's a person. But I know where everything is. So as long as I know where everything is, I feel very, very comfortable with it, along with paper maps, planning alternate routes just in case things get a little crazy. Sorry, I put my hand in front of the camera. I'm trying to hold it. We're just at a little rest stop right now before we head further into our journey. But there's other things like closed-toed shoes, our get home bag. I've already covered that. That's in here. And that has a lot of different items in it, but definitely water, making sure my toolkit's also in the back if there's any mechanical issues. I can handle about like an A and a B situation. More complex situations, I'd probably have to call somebody or seek some help, but hopefully we don't end up going down that route. There's a few other things besides medical. You guys have been asking about my daughter. My daughter is doing a lot better, and I was going to give you guys an update on that. So, my daughter, Kaylee, ended up in the children's hospital, and they kept saying virus, virus, virus. We just knew in our hearts that it was something different, and she ended up getting discharged from the hospital. We ended up back in the hospital like 24 hours later, and then she was finally admitted into a children's hospital for a week, and they did an endoscopy, MRIs, x-rays, ultrasounds, you name it. A little backstory with her, and one of the reasons why we prep so much medically is she was born medically complex. She was born with bilateral hydronephrosis and has stage 1 kidney disease. And so when she was having these pains, they were kind of, they sounded like an appendicitis. They ruled that out very, very quickly. And then we were worried it was her kidneys. So when they admitted her, finally, we had GI on board with us, because they were worried that they were going to have to give her a feeding tube. I mean, she was extremely ill, and that's where I've been for the last 3 weeks. I've kind of tried to check in with you guys, and I'm so sorry that I haven't been able to. But after her endoscopy, the GI specialist had pulled us in right away, and we found out she had ulcers in her stomach and in her small intestines. And then she had a small, oh, what is the word? It's not a mass. Abrasion. There was like a small abrasion in her small intestines. And so we just did a bunch more tests, and some of her like liver numbers were a little off. So just making sure that we like prep for her and all of her medical needs. And she's now on the mend, but it took us almost 2 weeks for her to get the proper medication to help treat what was causing her to feel as miserable as possible. So making sure that our vehicle is completely prepped for her and also for our entire family, that if anything was to happen. Now, I'm not saying that every time you travel something bad's gonna happen, but in my eyes, something always seems to happen. I traveled for another social media event, and I ended up right in the middle, like smack dab right next to where the Hollywood fires went off. And I was so mad at myself that I was making the jokes that we were going to attach my gas mask to my dress on that red carpet, and I left it behind. And then I ended up with like burns in my throat. The smoke inhalation was awful. It was absolutely horrible. And we ended up being in an evacuation zone, and then I had to evacuate the next day and get out of when LA County was on fire, which was horrific. So just being as prepared as possible. So yes, this time I did take some respirators with us, and I'm not even gonna lie, there is some body armor in here. And just watching some of these protests when they get a little too crazy, make sure that you abide by all your local state rules and laws. It is very important that you abide by your state laws. But yeah, we're abiding by all the laws, but we're making sure that we have everything that we need